What's up, everybody? It's SOS here.
And this is Sly Elsewhere.
And we don't have a prompter, so we're just saying whatever we want because this is
The Apocalypse Bros.
And we're back on another episode of The Apocalypse Bros.
Welcome back.
Up? Yeah, are you talking to me?
Welcome back to The Apocalypse Bros, everybody.
And me?
Yeah, we have a giant audience today. Say hello, audience.
Hello.
Wow, listen to the audience. Listen to that cheering. We'll put that in later.
Yeah, that's right. We'll get
Right?
that. Yeah. We'll actually cut out what our audience gave us, and we'll replace it with some actual cheering.
Something that's not so dismal
wow.
and sad
We'll
and
probably end up
disappointing.
recording it ourselves, actually.
That's
You know,
right.
you could just make us echo so we sound like there's more people here.
We'll see what we can do. That's our guest star, and
He showed up early. We told him not to get here until
He's
like
been
9.
sitting in
and
here. We've been setting up the equipment with Anthony, and he's just been in here just talking our ears off.
he's been like, "What's that?" and touching stuff. It's like, "Yo, lug nuts, slow down."
Yeah, we got to get to
boys.
we got to get to the news headlines.
All right,
Send us your news.
and we'll give you.
We'll send some news back.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah,
We can make the news.
right,
If we make news, that'd make our jobs a whole lot easier about talking about the news. 'Cause
Well,
we
there
did
are-
it, we were there.
right.
You know.
There are those who do make the news in the apocalypse, but we just share the news.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like we don't make the rules, we just share them. Same here, we don't make the news, we just share it.
No, the
Unless we're told to make the news.
sanitation union makes the rules.
Right. We just share the very honest, truthful news that we have.
Propaganda.
Propaganda.
We give out the propaganda. That's a negative connotation.
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Yeah, we give out the propaganda for the sanitation union, and then, well, they give us the propaganda in the first place.
Right.
And then we
Then we
share
get
it out.
right.
Yeah, and then it goes from
So
there.
it comes from sanitation union, so it's definitely got to be like to the T, truthful.
To the TP.
To the T, to the P.
That's right. So, in the news today, Sly, you're going to kick us off, yeah?
I am going to kick us off. What's
Yeah.
in the news? Karens. That's what's in the news.
Karens are the worst.
Karens are the worst. But in this new segment, Karens around the world are getting tired of being referred to as Karens. They're also being tired of not being seen as individuals. They have started to band together into their own gang, and they're out to speak to your manager, which begs the question. If they were starting a gang, would that not dispel them being individuals even more so and put a group mentality on them?
Yeah, that does make sense.
It's such a Karen thing to do.
Follow-up question to that. If they're coming to speak to the managers, is our manager Anthony?
What if Karen becomes the manager?
Ooh. I don't
Would she
know.
just talk to herself?
She would talk to herself.
It's like a vicious circle that she would just eventually eat her head and.
She'd be like Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Yes.
Except instead of a volleyball,
Karen!
it's her.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, she probably would talk to Anthony, and Anthony would do the job and get her away from her.
Anthony would ideally give her rabies,
Yes.
as he often gives most people that interact with
Or
him.
raisins.
Or raisins.
Either one works.
It's always one of the two.
Yes.
You never know. You see him like reach behind himself, and you're hoping for a packet of raisins. Not that I'm really a big fan of raisins, to be completely honest with you.
They're nature's candy.
What about grapes? I feel like grapes pre-raisined are nature's
When was the
candy.
last time you found a grape that wasn't dried up by the apocalyptic sun?
I don't know. I mean, it couldn't have just grown as a raisin. It had to be a grape at one point.
No, it was at one point, but then it grew into a raisin. It became what it was meant to be.
I don't know if I'd say what it was meant to be.
Other than wine. It was really meant to be wine.
It's very different having a freshly dried raisin as opposed to one that you like get in a package like we used to back in the days when we were in
Right.
grocery stores
Yep.
and stuff like that. It's a whole different flavor,
Yes.
you know. 'Cause
Juice.
They put so much preservatives in it,
Right, well, that's
but
true.
now
yeah.
they don't anymore because it's natural.
Just fresh.
Yeah, so you got to eat them like quick. It's
Yeah.
actually better.
Yeah,
I
true.
like them better. They're not like that weird, gross, like Play-Doh-y texture.
Yeah, with like the problem is, I think when they preserve them so long, like you have that sugar inside of them, the
Mm-hmm.
natural sweetness, I think it like crystallizes and become this weird, chewy, almost like crunchy type of stuff.
Yeah, it's gross.
It's like, yeah, what is this?
You
This
know,
ain't nature.
Funny story is I actually remember telling my dad once.
Funny story.
I said, you know, man, why do they always? I mean, oatmeal is a great like type of cookie. I think oatmeal cookies.
Yes.
But like, why put raisins in them when you could put chocolate chips in them? I mean, chocolate chips are so much better than raisins.
Because
and my dad, I said, who even likes raisins anyway? And my dad just kind of looked at me really sad and he says, well, I like raisins.
And that's how you guys ended up not talking to each other for 10 years.
That's right. Actually, that and
Social
another
split.
situation where he was decorating a birthday cake, and he asked me, or he was having some trouble with the like frosting,
Right.
and I said, "You want me to do it?" And he said, "Oh, you think you can do better than I can?" And I said, "Well, Dad, I do have a Bachelor of Arts degree." So I think the two of those things paired together were why we haven't talked for 10 years.
That's probably Doesn't
Yeah.
take much. Those are.
It's awkward. It's sad, and it's my fault. to
If
be
you're out there,
honest.
SOS's dad, we're looking for you.
Yeah.
We will find you,
Sorry, Dad.
and we will bond your relationship with
That's
your
right.
son.
We're gonna play ball. We're gonna play catch. On to our other headline.
Real cat in the cradle story there.
That's right, it is. Our second headline is that environmentalists and motorheads. Now, keep in mind when I say motorheads, we're not talking about the band.
Motorhead.
We're talking
Something like
about people that like to drive fast with no limits. You know, these are like your people that like hop behind a wheel and they're just like, I want to go. I don't want to have to worry about stop signs. I don't want to have to worry about speed limits. I don't want to have to worry about cops. I just want to go and I want to go fast.
I want to go
I don't
fast.
want to have to stop. Okay, so environmentalists and motorheads are actually banding together.
Together?
To make traffic signals, quote unquote, go green.
Oh.
Now, if I'm being
Literally.
completely honest, I feel like they might have different messages.
Nah.
The
probably the
phrasing is
same.
exactly the same, but I
Right.
feel like their messages might be different. You have the environmentalists that obviously, want things to be environmentally green
Right.
and green energy, but
Right.
then you have the motorheads, I think, want just green lights all the time.
Yeah.
So
I was
that's
like green,
ironic.
And we'll get into more of that later.
Yeah, and and that's how transitions work, Lugnut.
See, this is what happens when you have a guest that comes in early and they're just here and they don't have much of a formal education and they just kind
that hurts.
of work on lug nuts all day. It's
They lug the nuts
around all them
around.
fumes
Little
and
do
stuff.
you know.
That's right.
Little
Those
do you
car
know,
fumes.
those fumes really help you work hard.
I
Let me
bet.
tell you.
They make you really lose track of time. So obviously you guys have been here, hearing our guest in the back. We would like to introduce to you Lugnut.
Formally introduce you.
Formally introduce to you the musician formerly known as Lugnut. Not true. He is actually currently known as Lugnut, and he is absolutely not a musician. We heard him crooning earlier, and it was
Crooning,
horrible.
yes.
Nevertheless, he is a mechanic in the post-apocalyptic world. Why don't you say hi to the world out there, Lugnut?
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Lugnut.
That he is.
Wow, what an introduction.
It's
What?
a great introduction. Thank you very much.
We're more or less ecstatic to have you on the show.
More or less.
We
or
know
less.
you've actually, so Lugnut actually lives here in the same little Providence.
Looks like our guest has a question.
Oh, yeah, no, what?
Is it bad that I've forgotten both of your names already?
Yeah, it probably is, because as I was just saying,
Told you,
Lugnut
fumes.
is from our...
Fumes.
Lugnut is from our little village that we
Yeah.
live in, or village or settlement or whatever you want to
The
call it.
village that we live closest to in the bunker, that is.
Exactly. And so we see him pretty often, and he has begged us to be on the show using our names Sly Elsewhere and SOS, which he obviously seems to have forgotten already, which is a little embarrassing on his end.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad they never told me, and now they're trying to embarrass me.
It's true. We are trying to embarrass him quite a bit.
Well,
It happens.
he did it himself.
He did to it himself. It's the fumes. Anyway, so he's here to talk to us about cars in the post-apocalypse. A lot of us have one that's sitting out in the yard, and we haven't used it since the Coronapocalypse hit. They're just sitting there collecting dust and starting to rust.
Up on blocks, if you will.
And some are on bum blocks. That's right, because rubber from the tires is a valuable resource. And so
Very
most
true.
people have used it for other things. But
Rubber.
here's the thing. Your car that you have might not be completely out of commission just yet.
What?
So, Lugnut, tell us a little bit about what kind of cars can we expect to still be able to be used, or maybe even salvaged to some extent? Can we put something together? What's the situation with cars right now?
Well, that's this itch.
Well, to my knowledge, to my honest belief here, is any new car that is sold without a carburetor, good luck with it. If anything, it's all going to be needed to be swapped over to at least a carburetor. You can run a 2-cycle, you can run a 4-cycle, but you cannot run anything with a computer. Computers will be wiped out by the solar flares. So if you have anything with a computer, be ready for it to die on you when the solar flares come or not start in the morning, because solar flares will knock out all of your electronics. That being said, everything will need to be swapped over to carbureted. You could probably run steam, but it's not very practical. And you could run a diesel. So diesel and gasoline in 2 strokes are going to be your best bet. Now, the good thing is not all of the cars will be crushed. There's still quite a few out there. There's enough to go around. And there's more than enough engines to be swapped into modern day cars. Don't expect to use a radio either, because those will also be gone.
We have a car that's sitting up atop where our bunker is obviously underground, and we have a old car that's rusted.
Super good cover.
Pretty sure that it's I'm pretty sure that it's a newer car, so it's probably full of computers. It's probably not going to work even at this point. But my main question is, do you think the horn will still work?
The horn will absolutely still work.
Oh.
Your basic electronics will work as long as you don't have any computerized controls in it. So anything fuel injected is not going to work. Now, with carbureted, all you have is a generator or alternator. Those should keep working. There's nothing that's controlling them computer-wise. So all of your basic electronics will work. Your radio might turn on in an older car, say in the 60s, maybe in the 70s, probably not in the 80s. They started using more computer boards in the 80s, and the early computer boards I do think may survive, but probably won't survive when the solar flares get stronger. So I think if you're someone who relies on music, you might want an 8-track player. Or a tape player, maybe a CD will work, but MP3s won't work, radio stations probably won't work, so you're kind of out of luck there.
And we have talked about the 8-tracks actually before.
That's true. We've talked about downloading our podcast in some shape or form and then burning it or recording it onto some sort of device.
Yeah, transferring it.
What about, you said 8 what about like cassette tapes?
Cassette tapes should work.
Oh, there you go.
But if there's a magnetic flare, then obviously the CDs and 8-tracks will not work anymore. My biggest concern is about a mega magnetic flare may knock out alternators and generators because they run off of magnet to help power up your battery.
Well, that would be problematic for us here in the bunker.
Well, that's why we've insulated it in such a way where that stuff isn't going to bother us.
Yes.
Yeah, we've had it where it's actually reflective and stuff with the metal on the roof and the way we put it into play. We're pretty set here. Anthony and friends actually have designed us this wonderful impenetrable layer as far as it comes from solar and magnetic flares.
This is what happens when you really pair yourself with the sanitation union. They give back.
They take care of you.
That's right.
That being said, too, that's actually a pretty good point. Is if you were able to take your newer vehicle that has computers, you may be able to keep it running longer by putting this special solar flare repellent, I guess to say, for a vehicle, and you can get the solar flare repellent kind of window tints, which would be a huge help for you. That way it can't penetrate directly through. It might reflect some of that enough to keep your car running. So that could be a very big possibility.
Got to prevent penetration.
That's right. Yes. Now I wear on a fairly regular basis, and Sly, you can attest to this. But I wear my tinfoil hat pretty often outside wherever I go, along with my face mask, of course.
Right, not because he's crazy.
No, because it's useful and it protects us from alien radio waves. And at the same time, can I put a tinfoil hat on my car so that it helps protect it from, alien waves, sure. Alien radio waves, sure. I don't want to listen to alien podcasts. I just want to listen to Apocalypse.
Listen, Earthlings, we're here to tell you about our spaceship.
I am Clark, and this is my co-host, Clark.
Come on, Vlogs, say hello. Don't be shy.
Yeah, who wants to listen to that?
That's all
Not
he
me.
says.
Trash.
Now, will a tinfoil hat protect my car?
Now, I don't believe a tinfoil hat would be exactly the best idea. I think actually going out and buying the correct materials is going to be your best bet. Tinfoil hat on your car, for one, it'd look very goofy. And for two, with tinfoil, aluminum foil, and stuff like that, the sun really reflects off of it. So if you're driving down the road, you might be blinding other people. It could create an accident that you're involved in. I don't think it's a very bright idea to go down that route.
It sounds like it is a very bright idea.
But dun.
All you've said so far has given me 2 wins to giving my car a tinfoil hat.
Win-win.
Not only does it veer away other drivers in the area,
Self-defense.
but it also But it also looks goofy, which is always fun. If I wait, it's reflecting the heat, so it's probably not insulating whatever's inside of it. So I can't like make a grilled cheese while I'm driving around.
Well, if you put it on top of your car and you strapped it down with some, cable ties or
Well,
something.
if you inverted it, if you had an inverted hat,
That's right.
cone shape with like a circular bottom that would stabilize itself on the roof, then maybe you could like put a grilled cheese inside of the hat.
Basically, what I'm hearing is that tinfoil hat on your car is not the worst idea in the world if you've got the tinfoil for it.
I've heard it worst.
That's right. All right. Well, what else do we need to know about cars then? What about fuel?
Yes.
How long can we expect fuel to be continued and sustained for?
I think fuel is the most difficult one because without computers or anything reliable, you won't know when your gasoline or your diesel is coming.
Right.
There won't be any communication there, so you're really going to have to almost post up next to a gas station so you can make sure you're going to be the first people there.
And I imagine the longer we're in the apocalypse, the less amount of fuel that's going to be available. And
Right,
stuff.
right. And there's so many things that are new technology that run directly off of computers to get us our fuel. We're going to have to figure out, get older machinery running
Right.
to pull the oil, the natural oil out of the earth, or the natural
Going to be
gasoline and diesel out of the earth. And
much
it's
slower
much
process.
slower process. But the good thing about that is we can still use some of the technologies that we've had today, and we can still make better products than what they were 100,
That's
30,
true.
40 years ago.
Right. We
Even
have
20 years ago, they weren't what they are now. So we can still implement the tools and things that we have now. I do believe that we could get a lot of those things running without using
Sure.
computers and just using levers and certain, they're still using levers. They're
Yeah.
not everything's robotic yet.
Are you talking about Flintstoning our cars?
Ooh,
Oh,
Flintstone.
not quite. We don't want to drop down that low. That's dropping us a little low. I think if we're going to have to
As
Flintstone
low as a
our
low
cars,
rider?
if we're thinking of Flintstoning our cars, I think we all need to run two cycle motorcycles and go-karts and things like that.
Yes, that makes sense.
I think you'll see a lot more go-karts, four-wheelers, snowmobiles, and things like that used throughout the year. Mopeds for sure.
Now, I as we've mentioned before in the show, our bunker is located out here in the Midwest, specifically Iowa. So obviously that means the positive side of this whole fuel situation is that I can just go out to the local field, grab an ear of corn, and just squeeze it into my tank,
Squeeze
right?
it in nice and
That's
hard.
what ethanol is, right?
Squeeze
It's
the
not quite
corn
that.
hard.
It's quite a much larger process than just taking some corn. But say you have an old carbureted car, say maybe a Chrysler 440 or a Hemi. If you have one of those and you have a bunch of, say, straight alcohol, Everclear, moonshine laying around, you could run your vehicle off of that.
This is gonna
Is
be
it more
like-
expensive? Yes, but you can also make your own still and run directly off of what you can produce.
This is probably going to be the first podcast in history that's going to get sponsored by both cars and alcohol in the same
Or
episode.
alcohol.
I'm
Alcoholics.
down. Yeah, well, yeah.
That's how we
Drink what your car's running off of.
Here we go. That's what we do here at the Apocalypse, bro.
The best part about that is if your neighbor has a car running off of Everclear or some sort of almost 100% alcohol type of thing, all you gotta do is grab a straw,
and siphon it right out of there, and you're gonna get drunk. You know.
You could siphon it right out of
win-win.
him.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Just, yeah.
Like as he's drinking it, just kind of get your straw in there and
I
get a
know-
little bit of it yourself. And
I know we could do that out of Anthony if we get
yes,
on some of his nights when he's
That's
throwing
true.
it. What if you have a car that is to the point of where it just is not worth using as far as an actual vehicle and stuff? Do you have any sort of tips as far as just anything left on it? I have my own DIY / survival tip that I'll share at the end, but I just want to know if you had any more ideas about possibly what you could use the spare parts on it.
Well, I think if you have a car that's not really worth much, you might be able to talk to a neighbor or a close friend or somebody to find that might have an extra vehicle, but your car is the exact same one that they're having now, and you might be able to trade for a running car and give that one to them for parts for their car.
Ah, yes.
See, if someone did that for me, I'd say, yes, I'll take it right now, because that gives you a whole parts car when things break down in your car. And I think that's a very smart way to go about that. And that gives you a running car. And then maybe someone would trade you for, maybe you'll get another car later on down the road, or you need some parts in your parts car. You buy that from them. You don't want to spend much.
You get free Uber rides from the neighbor that you gave the parts to.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. You could do that too.
They can take you to church and your grandma's house and
take me to
whatever's
church.
left for a grocery store.
That's right. So
the crumbs on the floor.
Take you to the A&W.
The old A&W where there's a cult holed up there somewhere. One of them.
Hot dogs and root beer floats.
That's
and
right.
Wouldn't you believe it?
And
that
chili.
Wouldn't you believe it?
Humans.
Wouldn't you believe it that there's still toilet paper
Allegedly.
in this time after the coronavirus?
Well,
people still have rooms full of it.
It's true. Thanks to the sanitation union, our fantastic corporate overlords,
right?
As we've referred to them in the past. We still have some toilet paper coming out. Special thanks to them for keeping things moving and keeping the world wiped clean.
You know what? I think the sanitation was really smart in their approach. They thought the free people are not going to be smart enough to be able to limit and control their use of toilet paper. So what they did, which was very smart and wise and ultimately for our good, was they went ahead and they took all the toilet paper they could grab, went ahead and just got masses of it, stockpiled it in their private warehouses somewhere, yet to be revealed to us, because I'm sure we would just try to go and take it and use too much, and they delved it out as deemed necessary.
It's true. They're brilliant people.
Yeah, they had to ration it because they know we couldn't. So that was just really, really smart on their part. Knowing that the free people were not going to be able to do it, so they had to take it and use it for our good.
That's right.
Kudos give it back to us. So thank you, Sanitation Union.
Thank you, Sanitation Union. You guys are fantastic. Now, out of curiosity, Lugnut, you own a body shop here in town. What is a day-to-day kind of like in a post-apocalyptic world running an auto body shop?
Well, I don't really do much with auto body anymore. We're converting a lot more over to swapping engines and making it possible for people to be able to run their vehicles. In a day-to-day basis, sometimes we do things to make a car less likely to be broken into, so people can't siphon your gas or steal your vehicle. We want to implement a lot of fail-safes in the vehicle. I don't really want to go in through those because they're kind of specialized, and we don't want everybody knowing about what we're doing. It kind of helps us with business, and it helps the customer so nobody knows how to steal their vehicle.
Now, you guys obviously work on probably a lot of, as we mentioned before, a lot of go-karts, a lot of things like that. Are you seeing a big trend in that kind of stuff right now, or is that a pretty big possibility and a pretty big resource that's becoming available?
Well, we're trying to get more people to ride four-wheelers, dirt bikes, and things like that, because it's kind of hard to get a vehicle sometimes into the woods and come back out. And being a smaller, shorter wheelbase, it's easier to traverse through the harder terrains that a vehicle can't get through. They might high center, or they might get stuck in some mud, and they're a lot harder to pull out. So we want to see more people on dirt bikes and four-wheelers, and then in the wintertime use snowmobiles. And the great thing about all of those is they can literally go anywhere, and you can go hunting with them very easily. You can put all of your stuff, dirt bikes are a little tougher. You'd have to make some mounts and stuff, which we could do for you. And four-wheelers and snowmobiles, you can easily make racks for your weapons. Bow and arrow, crossbows, guns, throwing sticks, whatever you hunt with, whatever your style is. And you can go out and you can go kill yourself a moose or an elk or a buffalo, and you could go for anything, a squirrel, whatever you're hungry for.
I hunt with Chuck and Norris. That's my left and right bicep, by the way.
Oh,
those of you at home.
I bet.
Chuck and Norris.
Now, those kind of vehicles, they still take gas, though, right?
They do take gasoline. So if you were having one of those and you didn't have any gasoline, well, it's kind of tough there, tough luck. But if you can afford, and if propane becomes the next type of fuel, you can convert all of those vehicles to use propane. So which would be a really nice thing to do, but propane is also expensive. So it might go down in price if there's less gas. That might be the next area that goes down in price because it won't be implemented so much right away, and it might be kind of a backfall when there's no gasoline. While you're waiting for that gasoline to come in, you might use propane. So it's kind of a two-way win there, and you just kind of convert back and forth.
Now, is there a way I can just convert it over to electric and get like a what are those solar panels and like hook it up to it somehow or something like that?
So solar panels, I do believe could possibly live through solar flares because they are kind of meant to take some flares. But I don't know how often that you'd have to replace them. And solar panels, you'd have to use quite a few solar panels to keep your batteries charged.
Right.
And then you want to make sure, if there was a magnetic storm that came through, you might be completely out of luck using one.
From sources I've talked to, solar panels work good on very small vehicles
Yes.
and for short trips.
Yep.
So long trips across the wasteland, probably not your best friend.
And don't
My
expect to
grandma
be.
probably lives too far away. For
Otherwise-
me to go get cookies from her every
Probably.
now and then.
I will say
Raiders
don't-
might take your cookies.
They
that's-
have before.
And that's not a euphemism in this case. Not a euphemism.
I would not expect to be using your Tesla. Your Tesla's probably not going to be something that will run very at all, really.
Eat your heart
It's
out, Elon
completely-
Musk.
It's completely
Can we say that?
controlled.
Oh, we did.
It's completely controlled by computers. So if you have a Tesla, I don't know what you're gonna do unless you're going to figure out a way to take out all the sensors and make a conversion so it's just straight electricity with major solar panels attached to the roof, the hood,
Yeah.
the windows, kind of everywhere around the car. It'll be a full solar panel.
Who needs to see when you got solar panels?
That's right.
Just yeah.
You'll be kind of you guys remember the old slap cars when you pulled the trigger,
Oh yeah.
and that's how and you would feel the metal touching on the other metal.
Yeah.
And as the further you pulled down, the faster your car would go
Yep.
because there's more contact. That's going
Yep.
to be how your gas pedal is going to have to be in a Tesla as well,
That's very
or
true.
an electric vehicle,
Yeah.
or even a hybrid.
Sure.
So
Sure. Now the good news also about two-cycle, from what I understand, is two-cycle gets very good gas mileage.
it can.
Many of the vehicles are, mainly because a lot of times they're smaller and smaller motors. But from what I understand, two-cycles can get very good gas mileage as well.
And the thing is too is everyone back in the 2000s say they were using carbureted for racing earlier.
Oh, yeah.
way long ago when they first came out, back in the 20s and 30s when they were starting to be more popular. People started to modify the carburetors to dump more fuel in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we reverse that, we make our cars slower, and we put smaller jets in to bring in less fuel into the vehicle. You'll be saving a lot of gas mileage by doing that.
Making the environmentalists
So
happy.
if you have say an old drag car, take those jets and make them small again because you're gonna slow your car down. It'll still look cool. It'll be slower, but you're not wasting as much fuel if you're conservative about fuel. Now I'm not. I always have my vehicle that is, but I like to go fast. And if I die going fast, then I guess you're all SOL. Can't help you out anymore.
Not to be confused with SOS.
That's right.
That's
it's
right.
Not me. All right. Well, awesome. Well, geez, Lugnut, we want to thank you. As much crap as we gave you at the beginning of the show, we want to really thank you for all the amazing information that you've just given us about cars in the post-apocalyptic world. I gotta say, this is probably some of the most legitimate advice that we've probably ever gotten on any topic so far. Kind of feels like.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, my mind is blown. I'm still swimming a little bit. I mean, obviously, we're going to continue to just take whatever mechanical equipment that we need repaired or whatever else over to Lugnut here. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's the expert. But nevertheless, hopefully, some of the stuff really helped you guys out. And like I said, there's a lot of really great information here from Lugnut. Anything else you wanted to finish with, Lugnut?
Well, I just really wanted to thank you for having me on your show. If you have any more questions, you'd like to have me come back on the show and answer more questions for other people, I'll do my best to do so. And good luck to y'all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lugnut. We really appreciate it. You have a safe time out there in the Coronapocalyptic world. Actually, before you leave, Sly, give us a rundown on what we're going to be sending Lugnut home with today.
So today, Anthony, I'm sure he accrued this very legally.
Of course.
But he has this 20-inch rim with spinner attached that he, I'm sure, just found. It says Cadillac Escalade on it, but I'm sure he just found it.
I'm sure you just found
Just
it.
laying around.
That's not the car we have outside either. That's,
No.
Huh.
It's I
Interesting.
think it's a
Someone must have thrown
Honda.
it out.
Probably. Sure, just.
What an idiot.
Well, I'll definitely take that.
So, we got that for you. And once again, he has engraved with his incredibly sharp, almost unbelievable claws, our logo and our name on there. So,
That's right.
And the very cool thing about getting a wheel like this is people never stop customizing their vehicles. So if
Exactly.
anyone comes across and I need something, maybe I need some food or some water, maybe I need a girlfriend. Who knows? I'll just trade them the wheel for their girl. Who
That's
cares?
right.
You know, she's mine now.
That's right.
Trade and barter system is great.
That's right.
It's amazing.
It
It's
is.
Nothing
amazing.
more
And this is a
Nothing
great
more
way
free.
to keep the world popular.
Oh yeah,
That's right. That's right.
nothing more free.
Just share your girls.
Share your girls.
That's an interesting
Watch out
take
for those
like that.
STDs because you
That's
might
a-
not get
that's a
very
sh-
lucky with those.
Now that's a shirt.
That's right.
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks again, Lugnut. Enjoy your wheel and everything attached to it, and you have a good one out there.
Hopefully we didn't tire you too much out.
Oh,
I'm pretty
geez.
tired now.
Now, Sly, you mentioned earlier that you had a sort of survival DIY type tip for us. What do
I
you
do.
got?
So I got an emergency tip. Not this is an emergency, but it would if you could use it in an emergency.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the tip. If you have a car that you don't feel is going to be used or gas is too expensive where you're at and too hard to come by, what you can do is take the car batteries. Now you may need two depending on what kind of battery it is, how old it is, how you have it set up, and you can use jumper cables and attach them to some sort of paddle, something that carries current, and you can actually use it as a emergency defibrillator.
Oh, okay.
So go
So
ahead,
when
hook that
Grandma
thing
has
up.
a heart attack.
Yeah.
Or,
Hook that baby up. Now I do
you
have
gotta
to
say clear first.
Yes, I have to be clear.
clear.
Now the disclaimer is this isn't exactly, it's pretty much what it is. You cannot control the voltage. It's you pretty much are getting what the battery's going to give you. Now it depends on the charge. Depends. Well, that's the voltage really matters. That's a thing. So if you have whatever you got for voltage on the battery, whatever you got that's actually giving out for amperage, it's really going to be an interesting time. So it may bring your loved one back from dead. You may create a hyperactive zombie. We really don't know. So
That's a whole new form of Rona Romer.
but yeah, exactly. But what's worse, a hyperactive zombie or it's like a high risk, high reward. You might turn into a hyperactive zombie that could kill
I think it's
thousands of people.
Oh, okay.
Or you might get grandma back so you can get those oatmeal raisin cookies. With or without the raisins.
The oatmeal chocolate chip because she's amazing like that. But that's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, I guess the worst that could happen would be that you've created a new Rona Romer.
Right.
And then, other than that, they just stay dead.
Which it might get named after you if you do create it.
That's
so
true,
there is
that's
that.
true.
You might go down in legacy as infamous, but
Buzzer Romer.
right, the buzz, yeah,
I don't know, because it's electric.
the caffeinated craze.
Well, that's with caffeine.
Sure. I know, but
Are there
When
other
they name
ideas
things,
of
they
things
never-
that you could use with a car? Because I'm thinking like taking the hood
Sure.
and turning that into like a sick
Right.
like cooking
Uh-huh.
surface.
Yeah.
Like you could set up like a fire underneath it and cook it like a what do they have like at like cafes and stuff where they make the burgers.
yeah, on the
What's the
griddle,
term?
like
Yeah,
a
like a big
big
griddle,
griddle,
yeah.
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
Take it out an open fire, have family get-togethers and stuff.
Yeah. If you
Definitely.
took out the tank and you really like clean that out, you could probably like store water in it for
Oh,
a
yeah.
long time.
Yeah.
Like if you're going on a journey, maybe you got a camel because those are just readily available to everybody apparently.
Yeah, I guess.
Or
All
I
over the
guess if
place.
you're out here in the Midwest, you could probably find yourself a horse or a cow, maybe.
Llamas.
And ride that for a while.
Possibly a llama.
A llama. That's true. We do have a weird amount of llamas, and that is not like a natural.
Yeah,
animal
no, it's
to-
I think it's migrated this way. The llamas, because of the fur, actually prefer colder climates. So I
Yeah.
think from the coastal cities where the Rona has really broken out, they've all kind of been chased off by the Rona roamers and the Corona corpses into the Midwest area.
That's right. That's right.
So I think that's why we've started to see really an uptick of them.
Now, of course, you can take off certain parts of the car that you
Sure.
have, and you could turn it into kind of like a soapbox.
Oh yeah,
I think soapbox derbies have been really coming back just because it doesn't require an engine.
right.
Just
You
a
need
little
some form of
downhill.
entertainment.
Yeah,
It's not too
fun.
loud.
It's fun. Yeah. Oh no,
Doesn't
not
draw
at
too
all.
many-
I mean, unless people get excited.
Right.
In which case, it does get loud.
Right.
But otherwise, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So yeah, I mean, there's plenty. I mean, you said it kind of has to get creative with it. You can take bumpers off, form them into different things.
I
Using
made
the-
an awning out of some bumpers.
see
that
exactly,
were-
yeah, and you can wrap them around things to protect ledges from
Trees.
yeah. So you can create your own you can create your own garden.
all kinds of stuff. I mean, that's just like a whole bunch of metal that you can work with.
Exactly.
You just gotta get,
Artistic.
like, some sort of heat source
Yeah.
and
If you know anyone who has the capabilities of using a welder, if they have any tanks that they are still using, you can weld stuff, create your own designs, sell it at the market, the local
right.
market, whatever you got going on. Once again, barter trade type stuff. You might need someone's car seat, and they might need your bumper. You just never know.
That's right. Get out there and get trading. You won't know until you get to the market, and then you got your item. Now you gotta obviously bring it in on something because car parts get heavy.
Oh yeah.
You know, so bring it in on like a, I don't know, like I said, a horse or a cow or a llama or whatever. They can carry all that kind of stuff. An alpaca.
Yes.
Yes.
Pack it on the alpaca.
Pack it on the alpaca. We should make a bumper sticker for your alpaca.
There you go. Pack it on the alpaca.
Pack it on the alpaca. So that's our survival DIY tip for today, and for the most part, that's our episode. We just wanted to actually, we're gonna hit you guys with we got some reviews in. Reviews, right? I know. So we got a 5-star review from Odin for Real, and he says, "Wow, that Sly really has a great voice. I started listening to help me fall asleep at night, and with the comforting voice of Sly elsewhere, drowning out the sounds of the Corona corpses. But I kept listening." Because of the content, 7 out of 7 recommended.
Wow, man, that guy really knows his stuff.
He really does. He really does. We really appreciate it. Odin for Real, you're probably out there listening right now. We appreciate getting a review for you. And remember that you too can give us a review, I guess positive or negative, if for some reason you had some kind of negative response to say. But nevertheless, shoot us a review you can drop a review in iTunes. I think that's kind of the main place that you can drop a review at.
Yeah, I'm not sure what other possibilities
the other platforms really
maybe
do
call
reviews.
into your local radio station if they still exist, and try to tell them, yo, I really like them boys that do that show.
Brothers.
And they'll be like, what boys that do them shows? We got lots of boys that do them shows.
That's right.
Then you'd be like, them boys that talk about the Coronapocalypse. You'd be like, oh, the Apocalypse boys.
The Apocalypse boys?
That's what they call them out there.
Them Apocalypse boys. Always driving around in that car, causing all kinds of trouble.
It's the Coronapocalypse bros. No, it's Coronapocalypse bros. It's Apocalypse bros.
Apocalypse bros.
Apocalypse bros.
So yeah, absolutely. Call into your radio station, or like we mentioned before, go into iTunes, leave us a review. Tell us what it's like out there for you in the Coronapocalypse. You can also like, subscribe, and follow on pretty much any of our platforms. You have some form or variation of that, whether it be on Spotify, iTunes, Google, YouTube, or any of the other platforms that we're on. Also,
all of them.
Every single, all of them.
All of the everys.
Yeah, all of the everys. Hit us up in the comments if you have any topics that you'd like us to discuss, topics you'd like to hear about in the future. We can bring guests on, etc. We'll look for guests that are based on that. We'll shoot out some smoke signals, see if we can find anybody.
Check out our Apocalypse Bros page.
That's right. Jump into the bunker with us by joining our Facebook group. Where you can get the latest episodes and even interact with me and Sly.
Me and Sly.
Well,
wait,
you're Sly.
What?
But yeah, you can absolutely get onto the Facebook group and talk to us about the podcast, talk to us about topics, again, that you'd like to hear.
Yes.
Talk to us about what you think, what you'd like to think.
Yes.
And we'll tell you what to think.
Yes. I mean...
That's how it works.
Influence your thinking.
That's right. We'll wink at you and say, but what about this idea? And you'll be like, oh yeah, I do.
Sounds pretty good.
Now.
Yes.
Yes. So, again, thank you all for listening. This has been another episode of
The Apocalypse Bros.